Welcome to FOSDEM2022, February 6th, 11 o'clock Central European Time. I'm presenting two items. Suyimazu, Windows gaming helper that uses Wine for gaming on GhostBSD and FreeBSD, uh, created by developer Alexander Verikin, and that's his screen name on there, Alexander 88207, and his software was Suyimazu, which is the product that helps you set up your Windows games to run on FreeBSD or GhostBSD. And the second item I'd like to talk about today is GhostBSD as a stable operating system based off of FreeBSD 13.0 stable. My name's Fred Finster, and I hail from Salem, Oregon, here in the United States of America. There's my email address if you want to get in contact with me. I put a lot of URL links in these slides so that later you could go back and look them up, the things that I found interesting to share that don't exactly fit on the slide. Well, let's get started. I wanted to acknowledge the fine work done by all the volunteers in the chat rooms and helping get this set up and working with the video. I remember when connecting two computers with the RS-232 serial port to transfer a file via a 3-wire cable using X modem or Kermit protocols at 300 baud. This was on CPM operating system way back in 1982-83. I also remember, how expensive your cell phone is, several $100s. I remember buying a Hayes Smart modem that did 300, 1200 baud over the telephone lines for $570 back in about February 1983. But man, was that the cat's meow to use my Freedom 100 ASCII serial port terminal, connect to the Hayes modem at 300 baud, and I could edit and compile my programs on the university's computer from my house. Wow, what luxury from 1983. Today, you're watching this video at your home with fast internet to your ISP, and it's so much nicer, easier. You can learn so many things from watching videos on YouTube. I created this presentation with FOSS tools and on GhostBSD and Manjaro Linux. So look at all the wealth of technology, tools, and experiences we have today. Be happy with this change. Now you can play Windows games too. Well, I'd like to share a little past history and future imagination. I remember the EPROMs you had to write with the special programmer, and you got one. It went, and you wrote it, and then if you wanted to change it, you pulled it out, put it under UV light for an hour or two, 20 minutes, and it erased, and then you could put it in and reprogram it with a new file. So it took a while to make changes and try something new. I got my start with 6809 computers back in 1983 with a Radio Shack color computer. Plus, I built a couple different 6809 computers and one 6800. Now you can buy an ARM 32-bit chip with the ARM 9. It's 64 megabytes of dram memory inside the chip with the CPU. That's the F1C100. George Hilliard, if you look, he built a business card that he could hand out and show that he could make computers. It was that actual little business card with on the circuit board there was 4 fingers that would fit into a USB flash drive, so you could access it via the USB port, play some games, read his resume on there. That was a cool little project. Now you can buy a Raspberry Pi 4B with 8 gig of RAM for about $130, $140, or for $100 you can get a Raspberry Pi 400 keyboard with 4 gigabytes, and you can play or stream video files from over the internet and learn something, plus have a computer you can write documents and access the internet and play games with. In fact, computers now are using the USB flash drives for live image boot, like GhostBSD does, Puppy Linux does, and other types of other Linuxes have live boot of formats. In fact, now the USB drives are getting larger. I bought a 128 gigabyte USB 3.0 flash drive as an external disk. It was the standard size. So it's in metal. It's from Samsung. Cost me $35. And in the future, looking towards the future, we're going to port GhostBSD over to ARM64 to support the Raspberry Pi 4B, maybe the Raspberry Pi 400 keyboard, and if you're really lucky, maybe we'll get it running on the Honeycomb. I know they're looking to get FreeBSD running on the Honeycomb LX2K computer. It's got 16 ARM 7 cores, so it's fast and it's got a lot of horsepower and support up to 64 gigabytes RAM. And just past this April, almost a year ago, FreeBSD 14.0 current became a tier 1 supported, so there was a lot more work done to make images like snapshot images that work for the Raspberry Pi. You go to freebsd.org/where, W-H-E-R-E, and you can find the snapshots. I'm happy to share with you my tiny little bit of knowledge here around this small world in hopefully a friendly way. Well, there's the storage items. Over on the left, you see the Raspberry Pi. In the top middle is 64 gigabyte, it's just a box, but a 64 gigabyte USB 3.0 drive I bought from Walmart for $10. In the middle, right below that, in the lower right corner, is the groovy looking Samsung 128 gigabyte that I run GhostBSD on, and a couple other flash drives and a couple micro SD cards in their SD holders that I use to program to boot up the the Raspberry Pi. Now I changed it so I can boot from a USB flash drive. And right in front of you is an HP 700 solid state disk drive that I'm going to hook up to the Raspberry Pi. It's got 500 gigabytes. And for size, you can see the green pen, a wireless mouse, that's the blue thing, and my little pocket knife. So storage members are getting larger, cheaper, and smaller and faster. So these future imaginations are things that we can do today, playing Windows games, both 32-bit and 64-bit games on FreeBSD OS, which GhostBSD is a part of that. Streaming live video, like I'm showing down here. I had the Raspberry Pi and I hooked up to the HDMI video input to my TV, and I could stream the Dan Bongino show across the internet. So the Raspberry Pi had enough smarts, the browser was up to date, supported the video codecs and audio, and it really sounds nice coming out of a TV. The simple screen recorder, now you can record sequences showing somebody what buttons on the screen to push to make things happen and get things to work. I use that a lot to learn about Shotcut, OpenShot, and OBS Studio to make this presentation. So, imagination, what programs will you create and share in the future? Let's get to the gaming. Suyimazu is an automatic toolbox for playing Windows games using Wine on FreeBSD or GhostBSD operating system. The tools are there in the Suyimazu box for you to use. Makes gaming easy. What follows here are instructions to load a Windows game on FreeBSD OS, and we will show Heroes of Newerth starting up, and we'll show that Suyimazu supports running Microsoft Skype on FreeBSD. So, about Suyimazu, here's a little window pops up. It was inspired by Winetricks, and Suyimazu is the launcher that makes it easy to run Windows games on FreeBSD by providing the required fixes and workarounds using Winetricks. Windows emulation is provided by Wine. And there's Alexander Verikin. You've heard about do what you love to do, or fix. You go out and do something to fix the itch that you scratch. Scratch your own itch, I guess. So that's how he started making this helper, Suyimazu, to make it easier to run his Windows games. It's easy enough to install Suyimazu. Either use the CLI command line or a GUI. It's package install Suyimazu, and on GhostBSD we use the software station, or system administration software station, and you type in the SUI and there it comes up. You click the checkbox and you go over the right hand corner and click the apply. FreeBSD uses only a command line, package install Suyimazu, and when you can start Suyimazu from a desktop terminal window or from the menu. Here's the software station GhostBSD. If you see up the top centers SUII, and there's the package description, comment, and over in the upper right hand corner under those yellow, green, and red dots, you click on the apply, and it goes whiz bang kerchunk, shazam, it's installed. And unlike Windows, you can just go over the menu item, come down to games, applications, games, and there it pops up Suyimazu. Here's a bigger picture of the Suyimazu icon. Looks like a power button for you powers Windows gamers. In running, you start Suyimazu, and then you see this on the right hand side, the full menu, and you click the installation button up the very top, and then that will open another screen that will show you what Windows you'll install. Run a script to install a Windows game, and then come back. It'll return back to the same menu, and you click launcher to start the process going to launch your game. And if you don't like this game anymore, you can run the uninstallation to uninstall it. Those are the three main ones up at the top, and below that is 5 more that basically work with Wine. There's 5 little commands work with Wine, and below that is kind of general stuff, applying a fix. Open the Suyimazu folder so you can see where these files are, and cool is enable logging. So here's the games we got, plus Steam and Skype, and there's a selection there, Discord, the Discord, but Diablo 2, Blizzard Games, Anarchy Online, Itch, Guild Wars, and the one I tested was Heroes of Newerth 32-bit. I'm not a real hardcore gamer. I just toy with these things. So you get to explore it and see what works for you and contribute back fixes and modifications to make the experience better. We will all have a much better experience running games on Windows. So the three main functions to operate are install, launch, and uninstall. Then I told you about the five in the centers, the five wine operations, Winetricks to start a program like installing or using Microsoft C, a certain version from a certain year to make that Windows game work, like a 2015 Microsoft C runtime. And last, it was the other menu where you can select software rendering in case you're Intel graphics, Intel 4000 graphics, HD 4000 kind of has a glitch. Or you can use Mesa GL threaded. And last, the Gallium heads up display is there. So in this other submenu is the Gallium heads up display. And my favorite, delete and reset when nothing is working right. Just click on that button, say OK, and start over and download your libraries again. The Codeburg page opens up the Alexander's website where the software is, so you can see if any changes, download a new version, place to report bugs, place to get and clone the software. Here's a Steam. We launched it and it come up and says, hey, create a new account and log in. I forgot my login, so I wasn't able to go on Steam and work with it, but it's there. And if you Linux for everyone, Jason Evangelho, he's written up quite a bit of how it's a few hundred games, and then at one point a year or two ago it was like 6,000 games, and he wrote for Forbes.com. So you look up Linux number for everyone, and you can find they're on Telegram, and they have a web page you can read. Really helpful group. So, here's the Codeburg page again. I show the other menu, and then a picture of his website on Codeburg, where you can see the code, get the code, see what the issues are, make a pull request after you fix the problem, and generally exchange information. Oh, there's my favorite one, delete and reset. When I first tried to get Heroes of Newerth working, nothing was working right. It was brand new software to me, and I didn't understand, so I said, okay, I'll click this button, delete and reset everything, and it deleted, gets you back to a factory reset on Suyimazu. Use it when you're frustrated, get back to a baseline state, and start over again. The enable logging file is a way to share back to the dev what happened, what broke down. It logs and so you can find missing libraries, broken scripts, or have a log to see what broke in your game loading process. It runs until you shut it off, I think. Forget. But you see the menu, you see that it says logging for this session has been enabled. You will find the log file in the log folder, and I put down it's your home directory .local share Suyimazu and /logs. One of the nice features is open Suyimazu folder, because you say, where is that file? Where's the log file? I don't know. I can't find it. Where did those guys hide it at? So click the open Suyimazu folder and boom, there it is. And the lower right hand corner underneath games is the logs file, and you can find that log file. You can share back with Alexander and see if we can get something repaired, something that was broken for you repaired. Now here's an example of a library script file. Let's see, I wonder if I can flip, oops. See, there's not much different between the 64-bit and 32-bit, just a couple names. The script file, I'm not sure the format, but it's in the handbook, and here's an example of it. So you have, you can load the 32-bit one, or you can load the 64-bit game. Shows the download site and the download file name. It's hon64_install.exe. And where you place this script file is in the .local shared Suyimazu folder /library. And Suyimazu also provides a Microsoft Skype script. The script is in the library, and it's one of the selections. And I'll show you an example here. It's a 1.5 minute showing the Skype install. Bear with me. I'm learning how to do video on Impress slides. So here we go. It's on page 24. Starting Suyimazu. We're starting Suyimazu 5.7. There it goes, extracting files. Now we're downloading something, .NET. Oh, get a run installation of .NET. And then something else. That should do it. So there's finished with installation of .NET. Now we're doing Winetricks. Oh, there's Skype coming up right now. 1, 2, 3. Let's ready, set, go. Oh. There's picking Skype to run. Comes up. Ready to log in. Okay, I showed that you can log in. Now I'm going to shut this all back down again. Thank you for watching this review of Suyimazu running Skype. Here's Heroes of Newerth, a 32-bit game setup. Let's start game Suyimazu. There it is. There's the Suyimazu start. Clean up my desktop. Select Heroes of Newerth, and then watch it come up. Take a little bit of time. Oh, look, it's starting up. I hope it's the right one. Wow, look, there it is. Heroes of Newerth. I don't have a login, so I got this far and looked at some of the display options and sound options, and then I closed it out, shut it back down again. Yep, apply doesn't work. How do I get out of here? No, that isn't it. Oh, there it is. Oh, there's the exit. Hit the exit button. We're back to our desktop. Task completed. Now we're going to exit from, you have to scroll down to exit, and we're going to get out of Suyimazu. Thanks, Fred, for using Suyimazu. save the recording. Now, FreeBSD, Wine, Proton Gaming, Suyimazu and Wine kind of take care of that, but I put up some URL links to what I found on Wine and Proton Gaming doing a search. So you can click on those links. The first one, Alexander made like a 5 or 6 minute video showing Borderlands 3 running on YouTube. It was kind of interesting watching him go through the game. Okay, that does it for Suyimazu. Now I wanted to share GhostBSD. I've been using GhostBSD since right after PCBSD went down. GhostBSD founder Eric Turgeon, he lives in Canada where there's snow, lots of snow. It's on a picture where his back door, it's like 3 feet of snow in the back door. He's ran this project 10 years plus, and his goal is to bring a usable desktop to FreeBSD. And many people over at the Ghost Telegram group said, wow, this is real easy. It installs quickly and everything just runs. So we're now up to the latest version is 22.02.03. GhostBSD has its own repositories that we import from FreeBSD 13.0 stable. It's got a Mate 1.26 desktop, so it's nice and modern. If you don't like Mate, we have a second community supported version of XFCE4 desktop. Requires 4 gigabytes of dram memory, 15 gigabytes of storage, and a 1.5 gigahertz CPU. You can test the live boot image from a USB flash drive. No installation required on your computer. You just boot the live image, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't work, well, got to have 4 gigs minimum. And the GhostBSD is at this point is running totally from RAM, so you can pull out the stick and plug in your SSD, your blank SSD, and then use the GhostBSD installer to write the image from RAM into the clean SSD. That would probably be a full like 240 gigabyte or 500 or 1 terabyte SSD drive. And I was surprised, once it's booted up, it only takes like 4 to 6 minutes to write the whole thing down a USB 3.0 into a bare drive. And you can pull out the USB flash drives that shut down, and then when you reboot, it uses Refind, so you can run multiple operating systems. I would highly suggest to buy an external 1 terabyte. I bought one, had a friend buy one last week. They're like $114, $130. You can get a SanDisk Extreme or a Samsung in an aluminum case. Or, if you're like me, if you just want to try but not really, wait a minute, I didn't mean to say it that way. Well, I had the 128 gigabyte drive that I used for months running FreeBSD off this. You could buy a second USB 3.0 flash drive, 64 gigabytes for $10, like I showed in the picture. And you could install the live image into one, and then from the live image, use the GhostBSD installer GBI to install the second one. So for $10 you can try out GhostBSD. It's smooth, It's rock solid, and there's 30,000 apps to choose from. Another good find I have is DSBMD auto mounting. You can auto mount your cell phone by plugging it in, and it'll see that you did and pop up a screen, and you can transfer your files using the MTP protocol. Vermaiden had written a post on it. FreeBSD forum had a post. So you can get your pictures and video moved over to the computer from your Apple iPhone or Android. Why GhostBSD? Well, because it's rock solid, as I said before. It's FreeBSD 13.0 stable OS with the Mate 1.26 desktop. Now, if you go back to when AT&T Unix, Bell Labs Unix was created in 69-72 time frame, that's 50 years of history that you're getting in FreeBSD. What that means for you is a quick, fluid, stable platform to run your applications. That's the experience you'll get. Everything just works. Well, mostly. Yes, FreeBSD, GhostBSD has some problem areas like USB audio sometimes, like on a headset, or on some graphic card drivers. One of your source of information to find out which device drivers or devices in your computer are supported is go to bsd-hardware.info, info, bsd-hardware.info, or linux-hardware.org, because sometimes Linux supports the devices that are not quite on BSD's radar yet. And it's a simple command line, hardware-probe, or hw-probe, probe-all-upload. Support gathering of information about the devices in your hardware and learn if your computer hardware has BSD device drivers like OpenBSD, NetBSD, Dragonfly BSD, Nomad BSD, or GhostBSD. Suyimazu also works with other BSD versions assisted by using Wine. And I put a FreeBSD rant. I don't know if I got the link in it. But the guy said basically the desktop is really nice. FreeBSD, stable, works. There's just a couple items you'd like to get repaired. So GhostBSD has the goal to make a usable desktop on top of FreeBSD. One of my future goals is to get GhostBSD ported over to ARM64. Share my ghost-arm64.blogspot, blogspot.com. I've been bringing up FreeBSD on current snapshots on the Raspberry Pi 4B hardware. And maybe if we learn how to port to ARM64, port GhostBSD, we could keep an eye on RISC-V and port GhostBSD over there. Right now you can buy a solid run Honeycomb LX2K board for $750+ and then put in 32 gigabytes, 16, 32, or 64 gigabytes of dram memory. Here's some links. Telegram group t.me/GhostBSD. Like to thank Alan Jude and Benedict Richling, our hosts of the BSDnow.tv, BSDnow.tv, BSDNOW.tv. They have some really good podcasts I like listening to in the car. And I found Linux Nightline podcast number 36 was a really good description. Alan Jude talked about his experience with FreeBSD and how he started as a young man wanting access to computer over the phone line. So USB prices are down. You can buy a SATA, and the speed is going up. Like the 500 megabytes is the normal for the SATA interface, 500, 520. But now they're starting to use PCI NVMe cards, and they're getting a 1050 megabits per second over USB 3.0 interface. So there's the prices. GhostBSD uses a refined boot manager, so you can dual or triple boot OS from a single hard drive. I like the plop boot manager, but that's a little bit older. It's out of Austria, I think, because plop.at. I just wanted to share that with you. Thank you. So we have Suyimazu and GhostBSD combined together. These two provide you a platform to have a little R&R without booting Microsoft Windows. Play your games today. You can consider helping out with testing your games on Suyimazu, writing some documentation, writing more scripts to support other Windows programs like TurboTax. Maybe someday I'll get TurboTax running, Windows TurboTax running on FreeBSD. Thank you, audience. God bless you. Have a great day with computers to enrich your life wherever you live in this world. Questions and A+ answers are forthcoming. We'll automatically switch over to the chat room at the end of this, which concludes now. Thank you again for this platform. It's amazing to send video out over the whole world for not just an instant, but for a year or 2 or 3 on the FOSDEM video streaming that they have. Thank you again.